Hi, this is Duhan Aditya from LightHaven. I know I've not made a video for YouTube for a while. We've been in the process of moving. We are still in the process of moving. But I wanted to quickly pop on here to just talk about a slightly controversial topic in the realm of footwork within the Filipino martial arts. So what we're talking about today is this idea of crossing our feet, both behind the body as well as in front of the body. Now in most empty hand striking martial arts, this concept of crossing is heavily frowned upon. Especially in Muay Thai, the idea is that if I cross at the incorrect distance, if I cross at the incorrect time and someone fires off a low kick, both my legs are going to go. Or if someone's charging in and I'm in this cross position, then I really can't, I have no structure here to be able to fight because there's a lot of forward pressure and I'm just going to be blown away. I'm probably going to trip over my own feet and I'm probably going to fall or get swept or something bad's going to happen, right? So again in the striking arts, this cross or this cross is often frowned upon. One of the first rules we talk about when we're just beginning is that if I'm going forward, my front leg starts. If I'm going backward, my back leg starts. If I'm going to the left, my left leg starts. If I'm going to the right, my right leg starts. This is so that I avoid crossing like this, right? If I'm going to the left, left leg starts, not the right leg. But in the weapon arts, especially the Filipino weapon arts, especially in the art that I do, Pekiti Tirsia, we do cross a decent amount. So I want to divide this video into two parts. I want to talk about when we will cross and why we cross. So let's start with when we will cross. The same rules that will apply to your empty hand striking arts will still apply to the Filipino martial arts, except that I am a lot further when I have a weapon in my hand from my opponent than I would be if I am striking empty hands, right? That distance means that even if I cross, however it is that I'm going to cross, I'm not really in danger of being swept. Also, if I cross and someone is charging in towards me, because of that distance, I am able to still rearrange my feet, get out of the way, do something where I'm not really meeting a lot of forward pressure, forward momentum in this crossed way. At least I should not be. If someone's charging towards me and I'm trying to stay like this for whatever reason, I don't know why you do that, but if you are, then you deserve all the bad things that are going to happen to you because of that. I'm crossing at long range where I can only reach their hands, they cannot reach, and they can reach my hands. I'm not crossing at medium range and I'm not crossing at close range. I'm also using this cross as again a transition step. I'm not going to stay here and try and fight. For me, I'm just going to cross with the uncross in my mind already. So what do I mean by that? Let's take this pasada movement for example. An angle one is coming. I am taking this cross step back to get my body out of the way to make him overextend so I can cut his hand, as again I use the cross to get my body out of the way. Now from here I have two options, two good options. Everything else requires a little bit of adjustment. My first option is I just continue backwards. So I am crossing and then I'm uncrossing, maybe with a strike. But the more common option and what you find in the set is I'm crossing and I'm already prepared to enter behind the cross. So he's giving me an angle one, I cut the hand and I'm entering. That cross gets my body just enough out of the way that I'm able to enter behind my opponent's strike before he can recover. Now when it comes to why I am crossing, and the simple reason is, let's take the stick as a measuring tool. If I have to cover the length of the stick, right? Let's say my one leg, let's use this stick as a measuring tool. If I have to cover the length of the stick, so my back leg is in line with the tip of the stick and I have to move backwards and I have to cover the length of the stick, I can, but it requires quite an explosion of my front leg. If I just step back, I'm not going to be able to cover that much distance. If my back leg is on this line, if I cross, I'm able to cover that distance, but I don't need that big explosive movement or a really big step. I just need to cross and then I can uncross. And so I'm able to cover a lot more distance in one step instead of two or three steps. And what that does is, because again, Footwork for the sake of footwork means nothing. Footwork, the point of footwork is that it makes my body move, right? So if I'm crossing, my body moves a lot more. If I have to get my body out of range of a strike, this cross is a good option to have, as long as I'm not trying to fight out of it. I need to either immediately step back, so I'm back in a fighting stance, or go back forward, back into my fighting stance where I can do something. I can't fight necessarily from this stance, right? So the main reason is that the cross allows me to move my body a lot more by just taking one step than if I was doing more traditional footwork, which would require either more energy, more explosiveness, or a bigger step. Now this on the surface might seem like a pretty benign property of the cross, that oh wow, you can just move your body a lot more with one step, but actually it has a lot of applications when we're talking about fighting. A really simple application, and you see this in boxing as well actually, is that you have this front leg that will step across, because from here what this allows me to do with maybe a cover if I was boxing or empty hands, whatever, is that it allows me a much quicker pivot. I'm cutting the angle and I'm pivoting, as opposed to me having to step and then shuffle of some kind, or a step and pivot where maybe I'm not getting my entire body or center line just by this cross step. Let's take this stick as center line. If I'm just taking a step and pivoting, I'm not really moving our center line. I need some kind of a shuffle to get my body or center line. But if I just by doing this cross step, you'll see that a lot of my body except for this back leg is off center line, and now it just takes one step and I'm ready to launch my next attack. And so, especially if I am with a weapon and I just step across, in just 2 steps I've managed to flank my opponent, where otherwise I would have to take maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 steps. I'm able to just step across and across, pivot, and I'm right there. Now again, the reason I divided this video into when and why is because these things have to be used in conjunction. The when is super important if you're going to be using the cross step, because without the when, I can be moving my body or center line really well, but my opponent is right here and he's just going to push me and I'm going to be off balance and then I'm going to fall. So you have to have the correct context to use the cross step. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, if you learned from what you saw, please do like and share this video. Please do subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or anything you want to add, leave that in the comments down below. All of these things really do help out the school and the channel a lot. A huge thank you to all of our patrons. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to know more about our Patreon page and the exclusive content that we offer there, check out the link in the description down below. Lastly, thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.